Emotional absence, it does not show up the same way in every home. I want you to understand that. That's how we respect each other, how we respect each other's experiences. Sometimes emotional absence, it wears different faces and it leaves different wounds behind. Hi, bright soul. If you're carrying the ache of childhood emotional neglect, the absence of the parent you needed, or the pain your younger self carries today, take a deep breath. You're in a safe place. I'm Beverly, a survivor turned owner, a messenger of grace, and a life coach who learned to let God meet and heal the younger me. Now, I want to help you understand your story. I want God to restore and heal your inner child, and I want you to take ownership of your adult life. So grab your journal and your favorite drink. Let's settle in, let's breathe, and begin.
Before we get started, please note, this podcast may include discussions about emotionally difficult family dynamics, including emotionally absent or unavailable parents. Everything shared here is for educational and motivational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please seek support from a licensed professional if you need it.
Hi, bright souls. Welcome to Walk in Wisdom Wednesday. I am so excited to have you here, and welcome to March, because we're starting on a new topic. If you didn't listen to Move Forward Monday, I want you to go back. I want you to download it. I want you to listen to it, then come back to this one, and we are going to build on top of it, because this week is just the appetizer of it all. So, are you ready to get into this? Well, before we dive in, I want to personally invite you to a safe and faith-rooted space, a place where you can keep growing and healing and be with others in community. We have our Bright Souls community, Heal from Parental Absence, on Facebook, and it is open. It's a secure space, so it's not open to the public. I gotta let you in. Gotta have a password. But I would love for you to join our space. I would love to walk you through the emotional healing. And I just want this to be a place where everyone can share. It's growing. So when you get there, I want you to share with me who you are and why you're here. Simple as that. Awesome. So let's do something different, because I want you to receive the message that I have today. I want you to be in a good heart posture. So let's start off by taking a deep, slow breath inwards. Now breathe out. Awesome. You know what, you guys? You made it to Wednesday. I am so proud of you. And you know what's waiting for you? Wednesday wisdom. So I want your shoulders to drop. I want you to settle your heart, and I want you to know that you're safe here. I also want you to know that at any point that this becomes triggering to you, to pause. Come back to it another time. I don't ever want you to feel pressured, but I do want you to have clarity. So today we're opening the doors to understanding the 8 faces of emotional absence. We're not trying to judge your past or your parents, but we're here just to bring clarity and understanding to your story. Before we begin the next couple of weeks, and we're going to add 2 characteristics per week, I just wanted to start this week with an introduction and give you a foundation of understanding. Emotional absence, it does not show up the same way in every home. I want you to understand that. That's how we respect each other, how we respect each other's experiences. Sometimes emotional absence, it wears different faces and it leaves different wounds behind. But you know what? The feeling of it all is the same. I remember when I was young enough to understand just a little bit. When I lived with my father for a short period of time, because I lived with my aunt at first, and then I went about 10 years old. I was with my dad for about 5 years. And during that time, I remember feeling something that I really didn't have words for. But back then, it was a child should be seen and not heard. That's the theory he would tell other people. But I was eerily quiet. I didn't know what to do with the emotions that I was holding on inside. I didn't know that those did not belong to me, but those were imposed on me. I did not know that I was living with the faces that we're going to describe. I just knew I felt alone. I knew I was taking on a responsibility as a child for things that I shouldn't have. And for so many years, I thought that was normal. Just to give you an example, I was so quiet in dealing with the emotional face that I'll reveal later on, that when my father had someone watch me, I would sit in their living room and I would say nothing. I wouldn't socialize with other kids. I wouldn't socialize with the adults. I would just sit there. I didn't have a book to read. And back then, there was no hand games. I'm pretty sure there were hand games. We just couldn't afford it. But, there weren't, iPads and things like that. So I would just sit there. And oftentimes, it would be dark in their living room. And the people would leave me alone. And I would just sit there until he arrived again. It wasn't until God finally grasped hold of my heart that he started leading me in a way that gave me the truth and gave me freedom. Bright souls, that same truth is coming for you. The same revelation, the same freedom. That's what I'm here for. So let's dive in. The 9 faces of emotional absence. Each one of these is going to include a core emotion, what it looks like, and then I'm going to tell you what wisdom says about it. So the first one, the emotionally shut down parent, the core emotion is fear of vulnerability. What this looks like is a parent who avoids emotional conversations. They stay distant and rarely expresses affections or feelings. What does wisdom say about this? Their silence was about their fear, not your worth. The overwhelmed, checked out parent. The core emotion is emotional exhaustion. What this looks like is a parent who is physically present but mentally elsewhere, numbing, distracted, or they are in constant survival mode. What does wisdom say? Their lack of presence reflected their internal chaos, not your value. The self-focused parent, their core emotion is insecurity and self-preservation. And what this looks like is a parent whose world revolves around their needs, their moods, and their desires. The child becomes an accessory to their emotional life. What does wisdom say about this? Their self-absorption was never proof that you were too much, only that they were unequipped. The inconsistent parent, the core emotion for this one is instability. And what that looks like is warm 1 minute and cold the next. Present one day, gone the next. You never knew what version you were going to actually get. Wisdom says their unpredictability was not your fault. The parent who confides in the child. Their core emotion is loneliness and emotional immaturity. What does this look like? A parent who treats the child like a friend, a therapist, or emotional partner, sharing adult problems that the child was never meant to carry. Wisdom says you were never meant to carry their burdens. The physically present but emotionally missing parent, that core emotion is disconnection. And what that looks like is a parent who shows up in the room, but not in the relationship. There's no attunement, there's no warmth, there's no emotional engagement. And wisdom says presence without connection still wounds. But you know what? It was never a reflection of your worth. The parent who avoids conflict or hard conversations. The core emotion is fear of confrontation. You know what that looks like? The parent shuts down, they walk away, and they pretend like nothing is wrong. Hard topics, they totally ignore them, minimize them, or completely just dismiss them altogether. But what does wisdom say? Their avoidance taught you silence. But you know what? It didn't define your voice. What about the parent who prioritizes work, ministry, or others over their child? The core emotions, performance-driven identity. What does that look like? A parent who pours themselves into their work. They're pouring themselves into church, and they're pouring themselves into community roles while the child receives the leftovers. But what does wisdom say? Wisdom says their busyness was not a measure of your importance. And then finally, the missing parent, the one that's completely gone. The core emotion, shame, avoidance, unresolved trauma. What this looks like, the parent who was physically absent by choice, circumstance, addiction, incarceration, or abandonment. Wisdom says their absence speaks of their wounds, not the ability for you to be loved. Bright souls, what I want you to take away from today is that when you can actually name the pattern, you can stop taking hold of the responsibility of carrying the burden. You can stop eternalizing the pain. You can also stop saying, what was wrong with me? I want you to be able to turn it around. And I want you to say, this happened to me, but I'm not going to let it define me. I am going to grow, and I am going to heal. Naming this is the first step. It's the first step to gaining ownership of your life. See, we're all in survival mode when we become adults, right? Because you go from being traumatized into surviving, taking what you know inside of you and around you and what you've learned and experienced and trying to figure it all out because no one taught you. And now you want to go from survival mode into taking ownership of your life, reclaiming your emotional truth, reclaiming your life, reclaiming your independence in a good way. That's what you're trying to gain. Freedom. Letting go of the burden and allowing God to give you the experience in knowing what it is to set someone else's burden that was laid upon you free. I want you to do an exercise with me. I want you to choose one parent pattern that resonated with you as I was saying it, and I want you just to simply name it. I have a couple, but one of those, the missing parent, completely gone, just simply name it. You don't have to do anything else with it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to relive it. All I want you to do is just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. And just sit with it. The name. Well, Bright Soul, that's enough for today. I want to pray for you because there's going to be a lot of you who wake up on the inside and realize, wow, this thing that I was experiencing has a name. And wow, I didn't know what to do with it. Jesus, I pray that you give the bright souls the courage to see their story clearly and the grace to release what was never theirs to carry. Lord, I also ask you to heal their hearts. Heal the inner wounds that nobody sees. No one understands. The ones that are tucked away quietly that they don't want to expose because it hurts. Heal the inner part of them so that they can grow in connection with you and grow in relationship with you and understand that you were not the parent that was absent. You were always there. You were never far away from them. I also pray that they understand that getting healing from this allows them to love themselves. Bright souls, I close with just an opportunity for you to keep growing and to keep healing and to keep connecting. We can't do this by ourselves. Many times we feel like the things that we've gone through them alone, and we've gone through them by ourselves, and no one in this entire world has gone through what we've gone through, and that is a lie. Satan wants to keep us separated. You know why? Because we won't be able to heal. So I want you to come join the Bright Soul community, which is Heal from Parental Absence, the same name as the podcast. And I want you to come on over and I want you to introduce yourself and say why you're here. and allow me to be able to pour into you. It's a gentle, safe, faith-rooted space where you do not have to walk through this alone. So, bright soul, this is my end. I will be back on Friday. I'm going to give you some soft facts of just about the 8 that we're going to talk about, and keep in mind, every week we're going to go into detail about 2 of these. I want you to have the clarity and I want you to have the understanding so that the inner child in you can let go of the adult who is trying to live in freedom. This has been your Walk in Wisdom Wednesday, and I want you to take a deep breath and take what you need and keep walking in grace. I'm walking this with you. Have a good rest of the week. Well, bright soul, I pray today's episode met you with God's gentleness. If something touched your heart, I would really love to hear from you. You can leave me a review on Apple Podcast, or you can send me an email and share what God stirred in your heart. Or if you want to go deeper, you can order your Bright Soul Bundle Journal. It's on sale this month. It's a quiet way to meet God and meet yourself. Join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as we keep healing with God. Until then, let your soul breathe.